Welcome to the True That Show, a show about lifepreneurship presented with wit, humor, and banter by Deborah Drummond and Caroline Blanchard. A lifepreneur is someone who's living life the way an entrepreneur runs their business. All in. Lifepreneurs are rock stars. Lifepreneurs are people who are brave, who risk, who live full on, who think out of the box, who win this thing called life. Lifepreneurs are around us every day. They are everyday heroes. Join Deborah and Caroline, these two stage-walking women who tell it like it is. You'll learn from the most incredible lifepreneurs who will inspire you to be the best version of you. Now here are your hosts.
Welcome back to another amazing interview that we have lined up for you today. You guys are fantastic. Thank you for all the comments and the suggestions. We're listening to you. We're getting on people that you want to hear about. And of course, our show, the True That Show, is all about bringing you stories from entrepreneurs and lifepreneurs. And they are a crazy crew. And we know because we're part of that crew. So we like to bring in really interesting people that make you think. And when it comes to your business, if you are an entrepreneur, you're always looking for tools. There's things that just take you from one level to the next level. And I'm not necessarily talking about financial. I'm talking about self-development or personal development, or how you tune in so that you can hear what it is that you need to do next. And let's face it, if you're living this life as a lifepreneur, this goes into all areas of your life. And this has just been the most interesting pre-interview. And so Caroline, we have Victoria. She is a four author book writer in the same subject, which is very interesting because when you hear the subject that she's talking about, most people probably have never really fully read one book on this subject. And we know that these books kind of roll into each other because the information, it's like when you read it is not as out there as when you hear the topic. So I know you're just one of the most spiritual people I know. You go to all of these things. You're always teaching me about spirituality. You're like, half the time we just can't get your feet on the ground. And I know that you have experienced hypnotherapy.
Yes, good day. I'm happy to see you today. No, well, I was just telling Victoria, I'm a book junkie. I love books. Like sometimes I'm going to confess, I buy some and I don't even read them. It's just, I'm like, I walk in front of it, especially in airports. I don't know why, but in airports, every time I travel, I need to go to the store and buy a book. And thank God they have the sections on self-development, because otherwise I would have a lot of love stories. But when I see a book and I have the calling to buy it, it's because I know I will have to read it at some point. And there's books I bought 3 years ago and started reading this week. And I'm like, okay, now I'm ready to read it. So anyway, love books. And I'm saying this because spirituality has been, described and written about a lot in books. So that's actually where I started reading about that, because I love books. I started, switching my subjects. So I'm not where you are now, but I do experience a lot of things. And you were going to ask me if I did hypnotherapy in my life. And of course I did, because I'm also a quick solution finder. So I also want to find solutions so I don't have to do the work. And there's that magic button or that magic pill or that magic shake. We're all looking for that. And I will say I tried that about 10, 15 years ago, because I know now I'm a bit more grown up, still not where you are, Deb, but I am a bit more grown up. But, I know now that there's no magic pills. If you want to lose weight, you need to put in the work and you need to change your lifestyle. If you want to become more successful, you need to put in the work and most likely change your lifestyle. So all of these, magic thoughts have left my mind, and now I'm more looking for tools to help me successfully implement whatever I want to implement. And hypnotherapy, I guess when I tried it way back then, I did about 3 or 4 sessions. It was in person. And it actually, it did help me to a certain point. because I was also, now I know, I was not open-minded enough, or I was not at that place in my life where she came to a point of like, I was resisting and I was not cooperating anymore. My body wasn't, my mind wasn't anymore. And I just thought, you know what, that doesn't work. But with retrospect, it's really because I wasn't allowing it to work. I was putting my blockage, my done here. You know, our session is done. I told her the last time, our session is done. So, but what I want to say about that is I hope people today will really listen to this subject with an open mind, more open than I had before. And it's funny because I always thought I was the most open-minded person I knew. But when you come to subjects like hypnotherapy, law of attraction, stuff like that, sometimes it's still very kind of a mystic subject. And the one big thing we think is that it's going to be a quick fix. Like I've heard so many people who've been smoking a pack or two a day. They're like, oh, can't wait to go to my first hypnotherapy appointment. I'm going to stop smoking. And I'm like, well, it's not a magic wand. It's not like you're going to get in there and she's going to change you. So listen to this subject with an open mind, as it is an amazing tool that this author is putting out there. A brand new app. I'm not going to say too much about it. She's going to explain it all, but see it really as a tool that will help you succeed in what you want to achieve, and not as a magic wand, because we now know in 2021, it doesn't exist. So what about you, Deb? Have you ever done hypnotherapy?
Well, I have actually. And I've done it a couple of times in my life. And I, like you, I was kind of at an end resort place. And I think I was, yes, I've been in the holistic world for a long time, but even for me that was in the holistic world, I didn't have a lot of experience with hypnotherapy. When I first went to a hypnotherapist, it probably was maybe 20 years ago. And I was having a really difficult time getting over the result, or getting over an experience that I had as a car accident. And so for me, it was just one of the ways that I was trying to get past the fear of getting behind the wheel, or the fear I couldn't drive in a car. If not me driving, like if anyone went over 30 miles an hour, I could barely, I was like out of my mind, like this, gripping on. So it was during that process where I was starting to understand that I wasn't able to get myself over this experience. And so this is, I love how Caroline says, not as long as I have, because that's a great reference to my age. But when I first went, she actually did this recording and she gave it to me on a cassette. And I was supposed to listen to that cassette over and over and over again. And to be honest about it, I listened to it for a while, but because I didn't have I think a connected relationship with that person, or I wasn't able to move through my feelings at the same time. And it was such a new experience for me. And it was such a big trauma. I think I got further, but it didn't take me all the way through. I needed to do more work around that. So I had an experience. I had a positive experience. It felt very meditation-like. But it didn't, I think I needed a few more pieces. It's kind of like, when you're building a company, you need a few different pieces to put in. And I didn't have all the right pieces in place. And also I was very new with the concept. So it was like a 1.5 hour appointment and here's your tape and go and do your thing. And I think that the industry has completely evolved, and to be able to go back to that. So I think there's been amazing movements in the industry. And when I say industry, people kind of like, what are you talking about, industry? And I mean, here's someone that you're going to love to hear about, because this is a woman who comes from a very financial, corporate, successful business background, who went from that background into being a writer extensively about this, and actually creating a whole career about it, because we all know, we've heard about energy, we know about vibration, a lot of people have heard about meditation, and sometimes people think meditation and hypnosis are the same thing, but they're not per se, yet they can be put together to be really powerful. I don't want to talk what it is, because I'm not an expert on it, but I did have an experience with it. I think it's very different now, and I'm really excited to listen to an expert in that area. So, and as we know, or as maybe people don't know, I still struggle with that accident happened when I was 16 and I am 56. So that accident still somewhere is very much in my subconscious. And I've done many little different things to get over that incident, and I'm still working on it. Like I'm still working. I can get in a car and I can drive, and people can drive fast or they can drive slow. I'm actually more comfortable if they drive fast than slow. So I can get in a car, I can be in a car, I can travel. That's not the deal. I went through lots of emotions and gone through people like where I used to be ashamed that I couldn't get in a car. I've worked all through that now with somebody. And now I really need to get behind that race car and like whip it around the track. But maybe that's where you
even for people who are not traumatized, a racetrack car is not necessarily the way to go. And thankfully now in our days, like there's airbags and everything. So I recommend also that you look at the security features on a car, and it's going to maybe reassure you a little. I thought you would say that you stopped your therapy because your tape got caught or something. But anyway, so with this being said, let's welcome Victoria Gallagher, who is the creator of an amazing app that I will let her introduce. Welcome, Victoria.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me on the show. I've been just sitting here really enjoying your stories with hypnotherapy and how you actually came to learn about it, because I think many people in the public have varying different degrees of understanding it. Some people don't know it exists. Some people know it exists, but think, is that really real? Does that really work? And then there are many people who really have come to know and trust and use hypnotherapy as a way of life, because they really understand how effective it really can be. And to your point, is it like waving a magic wand? Not exactly. It can create, the reason why people use hypnotherapy is because it can create the changes typically faster than anything else out there trying to make the change solely with your conscious mind. And, people can go to years and years of talk therapy, and it doesn't have the same impact or result, because the true difference is that you're dealing with a much more powerful part of your mind in hypnotherapy called the subconscious. And so it really is about getting yourself into a trance, being open, being willing, being motivated to have those changes made. But yeah, sometimes there is also a little bit of work, even just the work of putting the cassette in your tape recorder on a daily basis. And of course, I was around when they were making cassettes, and these days we're kind of on to more digital and downloads and apps, and as technology changes, it just makes it a lot easier to get these things into people's hands.
I was around too for cassettes, by the way. We evolved really fast. It went from cassette to CDs to now it's like I don't even own a CD player anymore. But I want to ask you, because I admire people like Deborah who can actually do meditation. Like I wish she's been telling me for years, like, oh, I'm meditating on this, I'm meditating on that, blah, blah. And, every first of the year, I do put as my resolution that I will do meditation. So when she was giving meditation classes, I would take them. But you really have to have some kind of, I don't know, strength, concentration, something to be able to meditate. Tell me the difference between meditation, which I can do about 5 seconds now, and hypnotherapy, because it's different, but it's also both playing on your unconscious level. And it's just, I guess, one you have to do alone and not the other one. But explain to me, a person who doesn't know that much about both, what's the difference between both?
So in both of these genres, hypnosis and meditation, there's different types of meditating, there's different types of hypnotherapy. So the main way that I like to distinguish between these two modalities are that meditation is more of a listening to the thoughts that are happening inside of your mind. And hypnosis is more of a receiving. So on one hand, you're listening, and the other hand, you're getting new input put into your subconscious mind. So they both, like you said, they both definitely interact with the subconscious mind. I would like to say though, because just to speak to where you said that you don't, that meditating is hard, or that you can't meditate. Everyone can meditate. It's really about understanding what it is. So the fact that you have a hard time quieting down your mind does not mean you're not meditating. You could be meditating and still have a hard time quieting down your mind. The way to think about meditation is that, our minds are designed to think. That's what they do. And so what we really want to do though, is we really want to notice when we're having those thoughts. It's a noticing and bringing the thought back to whatever it is that you're choosing to focus on in that moment. That in and of itself is the act of meditation. No matter how many times you have to do that in and of it, that's the exercise, is bringing the mind back to what it is that you're focusing on. And it's an amazing thing to do on a daily basis, because really, if you think about your life, you think about what you're wanting to achieve in your life, almost everything requires us to have a focus on something. And we can tend to get distracted, especially these days with our phones and social media and everything else around us. So in a way, throughout the day, we're practicing meditating as we practice bringing our focus back to, okay, yes, I'm writing this book, or I'm writing this article, or I'm making this video, or whatever it is that we're working on. We want to train ourselves. And that's really essentially what you're doing in meditation, is training yourself. And, just the opposite is happening in hypnosis. In hypnosis, you're allowing the guidance that you're hearing in the recording or hearing in the live session. You're allowing that guidance to go into the subconscious mind and change the wiring, change the programming, change the thoughts, the belief that you have about that particular area of focus that you're utilizing hypnotherapy for in that moment.
So Victoria, tell us, one, to make a career out of being a hypnotherapist. You come from the land, because we want to talk a little bit. I think a great topic, some tips for our people in terms of expanding and abundance. And we're all looking at learning a little bit more on that. But how did this come into your life? I'm sure, it wasn't the course that you checked off at college. Your parents probably weren't jumping up and down and like, oh, we always wanted you to be a hypnotherapist. So tell us a little bit about that process.
Yeah, so that was an interesting process, because you're right. I didn't grow up thinking I was going to be a hypnotist. I also didn't grow up necessarily thinking that I was going to be a financial consultant. Being a financial consultant was something that evolved from working in that industry as a sales assistant, and then saying, hey, I want to get my broker's license. And then, hey, I'm going to go ahead and become a stockbroker, because I wanted to take control over my income and go into sales. And I really felt that I was pretty good at it. And so I was in that career kind of as an evolution, but not really as a choice. And so when and it's like, everything is by choice. I kind of take that back. Everything is by choice, but it wasn't really a pure, authentic, like coming from like, who do I really want to be when I grow up? And so about 6 years into my career, I'm, making really good money, and I've got my own house, I've got a great car, I'm married, and I think that I've kind of got a pretty good life going on. But for whatever reason, I was depressed, anxious, unfulfilled, didn't want to get up out of bed in the morning. I just kind of hit this block. And ultimately, that led me to personal development, which, I was always kind of into the self-help books, just like I could relate, to Carolyn talking about loving books. I love to read. I love getting this information. So I had been a tiny bit exposed to the area of, self-help. I had a lot of self-help books, Think and Grow Rich and Total Self-Confidence. Anyway, this all led me to this seminar. And during this 4-day seminar, we did a lot of closed eye techniques where we would close our eyes and we would visualize and practice all of these things, removing blocks and forgiveness and visualizing our goals and setting goals for ourselves. And it just really literally opened my eyes to this whole other world. I'm like, you know what? I want to teach other people what I'm learning here. I just want to do this. Like it's just like I just had this epiphany that this is what I wanted to do. And I didn't know exactly what that looked like. I didn't know that meant I was going to be a hypnotherapist or any of those things, or even call it meditation. I just knew it was about the visualization that was really having the impact on me. And part of me was like, well, maybe I'll just, get everybody to come to this seminar, but I couldn't get anybody to come to the seminar. Everybody thought I was in a cult or something. So one day it just kind of hit me, and it was like, well, what's the thing I loved about the seminar? And it was these closed eye techniques. So I thought, well, why couldn't I just make recordings? And because I started making some recordings for myself, and they were working, and I was letting other people listen to them, and they were working. So one day I just said, I'm gonna make all these recordings. And when I started doing that, I just said, whoa, I want to make sure that I'm qualified to do this, that like, I don't take somebody in a bad direction. How do I get any kind of credentials? How do I validate? And it didn't even occur to me that meant I was going to be a hypnotherapist. So I'm doing these searches online, like how do you write these meditative scripts? And all of a sudden I see these certification classes to become a hypnotist. And I'm like, oh my God, that's exactly it. And it just was this crazy epiphany. So I signed up for the course. Like as soon as I found out about this, I signed up for the course. I got certified. I got myself an office. I got my business license, and all of that led to my branch manager, where I was working as a stockbroker, finding out what I was doing. And he gave me an ultimatum. And he basically told me that I had to choose whether to continue with my 6-figure-a-year job or my no-figure-a-year job, where now all of a sudden I have no income coming in, and I have Yellow Pages ad. I have a lease that I've signed a contract for. I have all these ads, everything. And I'm like, oh my God, I guess it's time to put this to the test. Like, can I actually use, because in the seminar, we learned a little bit about manifesting. We learned a little bit about, I had read Think and Grow Rich, so it's like, okay, law of attraction. Let's see what you got. And I will tell you, I fell flat on my butt. I don't know if the other word's acceptable here, but I landed flat on my butt. I ended up filing bankruptcy. I had, and if you want to know, like, what did my parents think? All they were just telling me is like, maybe it's time for you to get another job. And they didn't have any objections to the career choice. They just wanted me to, make money. And so here's the next epiphany that I had. The next epiphany that I had was, here I am, really just working my butt off 16 hours a day, and just in a state of fight or flight ultimately. And that's why everything was like working against me, because here I was like being the biggest hypocrite of all time. I had created this library of hypnosis programs, about a dozen of them at the time. Now I'm up to in the hundreds, but about a dozen of these programs, and I wasn't listening to them. I was too busy. I was trying to make just make a living. And I was not reprogramming my mind with all of this fantastic material. And I had a breakdown one day, and I'm like literally on my hands and knees praying to the universe, like, universe, why this, why isn't this working for me? And it's like, well, maybe because, you're not actually doing the work. And I wasn't, and it was absolutely true. And so as soon as I heard that message, it's like, okay, yeah, I hear you. I need to actually listen and do this myself. And so within a couple of months after going in and reprogramming my mind and telling myself what I wanted, instead of feeling sorry for myself and feeling like a victim, which I was at that time, it's like, talk about living like two different lives. As soon as I kind of started getting myself into alignment with what I was teaching other people to do and said, okay, yeah, this can work on me, and reprogramming my mind, then I started actually making money. And it was like, oh, hello, duh. You just have to actually do the thing that you're telling other people to do. And, so lo and behold, now it's 18 years after that, or, I've been in business for 22 years now. So I guess 20 years since that moment. Once that moment hit, it's been, it's been uphill ever since, or downhill, whichever way it's.
Whichever way you want to look at it.
Whichever way you want to look at it.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being transparent, because there's too many times, that was when we actually were talking about this podcast, and Carolyn was talking about her definition of truth. And it's like, it's rare. I'm not saying that they're not out there, because there's beautiful pink diamonds everywhere and there's unicorns everywhere, but it's rare that someone just, that it's just one beautiful step after another. Maybe they cleaned up their stuff in a past life or 3 past lives before. We don't know. But when you talk about taking that risk, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going, oh, I finally came to that place where I know what it is that I'm going to do. And all of a sudden they roll out the red carpet. It doesn't work that way by nature. There's going to be times, we always say, choose your hard, choose your hard. That sounds hard. For some people, they're like, holy cow, that was hard. My butt kicked, my rent, maybe they don't have parents, or maybe they're not married. Maybe they're a single parent. And I could never take that risk, but choose your hard. The other hard was working at a job where there was something not right, or where you were waking up and you were depressed. And so many people live that hard versus this hard, but this hard doesn't stay hard forever. This hard teaches you a better way. It may just not be before your visa payment. You know what I mean? And what I heard when you were talking is there's two different worlds. There's it's fantastic. You had parents that they just wanted you to make money, but you did what every person, I think, does, is when you decide to do a business, you go make that business work no matter what. So you're 10 hours, 11 hours, 12 hours, 14 hours, right? And you're doing it. You just happen to have chosen an industry, right? Maybe if you opened up a bakery, different story, but you chose an industry where you had to be authentic, where you were selling a product that taught people how to be successful easier. And so you got your butt kicked so you could have that I just love your story because it's so truthful. And sometimes it might have taken you 3 months. Sometimes it takes a little longer, but the end game is that sense of satisfaction and just knowing that those bumps in the road are taking you to the place that you want. Anyways, I don't want to talk a whole lot about me and the world of entrepreneurship, but you hit on something, and it was abundance. And and I know that myself and Caroline would love to hear what you have to say about that, because we're always working on that part of our businesses and our lives. And I'm sure our listeners would love to hear if you have any suggestions around that, because that seems to be, like we were talking earlier, a pretty hot topic. What can people do to expand that, that business account or that bank account or that, cash fund that they're looking to create?
Yeah. So, one of the reasons why I tell that story is because I want people to understand, like it's law of attraction, manifesting, hypnosis. It's not like waving a magic wand. It is about reprogramming the subconscious mind. And so many people, they start off and they think, oh, yeah, I've got it. All I've got to do is this, listen to this one time, or hear this one time, or read this one book, but they haven't actually integrated it yet into their subconscious mind. And that is what's so important about the abundance. So when I was growing up, I had a father who I had kind of both sides of the coin. I had a mother who was gone all the time, working hard worker. And I had my dad who was also constantly working around the clock. And so I got it ingrained into me. It's all about working hard. And I never saw my mom become ultra successful. My dad had some success, but he didn't have a good balance between success and marriage. He was married like 10 times. And so, and health and all of that. So I had really a lot of what you would call abundance blocks because, I was never working hard enough. And that was ultimately why I went into this tailspin initially, is just, oh, you got to work harder, even harder, even harder. It never really occurred to me, even though this was what I was teaching people, that I needed to rearrange my own subconscious beliefs and get myself to be able to receive abundance without having to work so hard, about creating some time for myself to work on my self-care. I always felt like if I took any time at all to work on myself, that I'm, taking time away from what I could be doing to work hard. But see, here's the thing, is the subconscious mind will figure out how to make you more abundant, more efficiently. There's no competition with your conscious mind for the subconscious mind. Your conscious mind cannot figure it out any better than the subconscious mind. So what really needs to happen in order for a person to create more abundance is it's really as simple as you have to reprogram the subconscious mind for whatever it is that you do want to create. And so many times we have a tendency to focus on what's going wrong, what's going wrong with our business, there's not enough money coming in, all the debt that's coming in, the clients that don't show up on time, whatever it is, that you're mad about, or that you're creating this, these bad feelings about. That's every day you're just reprogramming and reinforcing the subconscious mind to believe more and more. So we have to turn that around, and we have to actually take a look at, okay, what are my limiting beliefs around money? Because listen, we all have limiting beliefs around money. Even billionaires have limiting beliefs around money. They don't know how to make the next $1 billion. People that are making 7-figure income have limiting belief about money. They don't know how to get to 8 figures, and on down the line. And so you could have a limiting belief that you don't even know how to start a business. You don't even know how to make $10,000. So you have to what is it that you want? Get clear on what it is that you want, and so many people, they have this lack of clarity. Especially I've seen people when it comes to wanting to create a business, they want that business, but they won't allow themselves to even dream about that or desire that, because they don't think, they've already shut the door on that business before they even get started. They are going to they're going to keep their day job, they're going to keep their comfort zone, and they're never, ever going to take a risk toward that, because they've just automatically, they've got the belief that well, I can't be successful. Or people, especially in my industry, this industry of hypnotherapy, so many people, this is a side hustle. They're not coming from that abundance mindset. They just haven't even allowed themselves to believe that. And it takes work to believe it. It takes the constant reinforcement, speaking in the way that you need to speak to your subconscious mind to get the subconscious mind on board. And it's important just right now, just to make a distinction for your audience in case they've never even really heard of these things, is the conscious and the subconscious mind. The conscious mind is just our reason and logic. It's really just the short-term willpower, short-term memory. It's all, those things that you're aware of. Everything else beneath that surface is the subconscious mind. It's all of your emotions, all of your programs, it's all of your long-term memories, anything you've ever been told, from the time you were, 0 to 6 years old, everything that you were told just goes right in to the subconscious mind during that time. And then beyond 6 years old, it just continues. And every conversation that you've ever had, it's recorded right there. And most of the conversations that people have are negative. And we live on autopilot. Every day we're doing the same thing, taking the same path and continuing to reinforce all those old habits. So all of that's there in the subconscious mind. It's our job, though, to recognize what is that subconscious mind telling us, and how can you figure out those things? Well, the first thing is really, you can use meditation. You can use meditation to sit for 5, 10, 20 minutes and ask, like, what is getting in my way of achieving this abundance that I want? And you will begin to hear what some of the excuses are. And if you want to know what some of your excuses are, just tell yourself, okay, this year I'm going to earn whatever that number is for you that you're having a block against. This year I'm going to earn 6 figures. And you're going to hear, no, I'm not. Or this year I'm going to earn $1 million. No, I'm not. Why? Because it's too hard, because I don't know how, because this person won't let me, because of the economy, because of, this is all that I'm able to do. I'm not smart enough. I don't know enough. I'm not good enough. I don't deserve it. These are all the things that are going to come up for you when you say, this is what I'm going to do. And it's like, no, you're not. Those are your limiting beliefs. Once you figure out what your limiting beliefs are, then you have an opportunity to change them. How do you change those limiting beliefs? You decide, what would I rather believe? What belief would have me acting and behaving in such a way that is going to put me on the path toward that 6, 7, 8, whatever figure income? And then taking that new belief and visualizing yourself in that future, feeling that future, what does that feel like? And then every day reprogramming the subconscious mind. I mean, this is the hard work that you can do on your own, or you can listen to apps. You can go and have a hypnotist, recreate that belief for you. But this is ultimately how you break through to that next level. You've got to figure out what's stopping you, and then reverse that and create the new belief that's going to take you there.
That's so awesome. I love the idea that you've published an app, because I'm the poster child of limiting beliefs. And it's funny when you say what you were fed between 0 and 6, I'm like, oh my goodness. And you were even talking about, like, know what you want. One of my biggest blockage was to even be able to really write down what I want. It's easy to say, I want to make more money, I want to travel, I want a happy family. Like, who doesn't want that? But I mean, when you really go down and someone is like, no, describe more what you want. And it took me years to realize it's a limiting belief that don't even let me write down exactly what I want. So talk about the law of attraction, when you don't even know exactly what you want, what are you attracting? But anyway, I love that you launched an app. And, for someone like me or whoever, the ordinary person that actually wants to really start the work, like, what do you suggest? Do you listen to your app once a day, once every 2 days? Like, what's the process of someone really wanting to start facing their limiting beliefs and using your app?
So the first step would be, yes, downloading my app. And in my app, there are 12 hypnosis sessions, which are absolutely free for life. And so I give a lot away, for free. And pick an area of your life. Start with one very specific area. Usually that can break down to health, wealth, career, relationship, spirituality. And my app is actually broke down into these 6 areas. And so you pick an area that you really want to work on. And I say work on that area for a minimum of 30 days in a row, because consistency is really the key to success. I go as far to say that, and inside the app, you can actually set a reminder, and it'll pop up one of those little, reminders on your phone and remind you. And you can program it to say whatever you want it to say, time for hypnosis or whatever you want, time for abundance. And so you can go into the, and the app is broken down by these subcategories. And so you can go in and you can find something on, manifesting money, or it could be in the area of attracting a soulmate, or it can go into the area of just relieving stress or, healing. There's, so many different areas, but whatever area you are working on right now, make that a priority to listen to a session in that category every day at the same time each day. If you can do 2 times a day, that's even better. But it really comes down to that focus, that consistency, and allowing the guidance to, don't worry about like, am I getting hypnotized? It's all really a matter of hearing that information in that relaxed state. As long as you're hearing the information in that relaxed state and allowing yourself to like do the little, I'll have you go through little mental exercises, visualizations, or even like feel this affirmation, say this affirmation, repeat it out loud, see yourself in your future. It's really a matter of just kind of following along with that guidance. In a way, they're like guided meditations, but I hypnotize you and take you even deeper. And so that would be my recommendation, is to, just to pick one area and stick with it and listen to it daily and allow the magic to unfold.
That's amazing. First of all, thank you for that gift, because I think it's such a nice entry point in being able to have someone that's picked the categories of your life, delve, go here. And then of course, when you say you have hundreds, share with our audience what they can tap into at this point. Because you've got people that are, have been doing meditation for years that want to take it to the next level. Our audience is vast. And so, how can people get to know you, get to know more of you? What are the names of your books? Tell us the names of your books, and then how they can contact you. I think that hopefully what we've done, and we certainly have for me, even the fact that I'm in the field, make it just easier to digest, right? And that this is a massive tool in your toolbox. And I always say it's kind of like when people used to come for a massage and they were really stressed out. It's like, basically you just lie there and let the practitioner do the work. And your job is to receive it. Your job's to book the appointment. Your job's to, take care of yourself and recognize it's kind of like that, right? Where you're able to, I think just the power of booking a frigging time for ourselves to allow this goodness to come in. And, I keep hearing all over lately about getting clear. And I think it's really interesting that you talk about, because I'm a big meditation fan, about when you say you want something and just listen to yourself on how it talks to yourself, and not even necessarily in that moment, but look at how it talks to yourself in the next day or two, or what you avoid doing, or the book you walk by and go, you know, those kind of things, becoming self-aware. So how can we reach you? What else have you got for us? I know you've got hundreds. Do share, because I think it's an amazing number, and you know, you get to claim it, and the name of your books.
Yes. Okay. So the number of hypnosis sessions, you know, I've kind of lost count, but I know it's somewhere in the neighborhood of 500 or 600 different hypnosis sessions. And I'm always trying to, you know, the world's always changing, and people are needing different things. I have found myself too, that's kind of why I'm on a show like this. I found myself really gravitating more to the entrepreneurial type, the spiritual entrepreneurial type that ultimately, you know, they have a spiritual entrepreneurial business, and they're looking for success, because there's just like so much around, like, oh, you know, you're a spiritual person, you should be giving your stuff away. You know, I don't know why people think that, but you know, but people own that. And so I help people to really transform that whole thought process and realize that, you know, what you do is so needed and so important in the world. And so I have also written these books. These books came about, like the Practical Law of Attraction, which is my most favorite book that I've written, is Practical Law of Attraction. And that really came about as an answer to a lot of people were really left with no handbook on how to make the law of attraction work. After seeing The Secret, they kind of thought it was a little bit of BS, because, you know, the way it gets presented, it's so cute and dreamy and mystical, and there's a genie out there granting wishes, and it makes it seem like something that is unbelievable. And so that's why people write it off as this, you know, BS kind of thing, but it doesn't work that way at all. I mean, it's a process, and it's really, to me, so much of it really depends on you having that good communication with your subconscious mind, and really getting clear and telling subconscious what you want, and having your thoughts, your belief, your actions, and listening to your intuition, and getting that inspired inspiration to act on, and being grateful for your, you know, and all of that is really a process of alignment. So that's one of my favorite books. And then there's Ultimate Weight Loss Power, which is a script book that I wrote for hypnotherapists. And it's not just for hypnotherapists. Any person can actually get benefit out of it, but it's a process, 12-week process to get your body in shape in every single way, all the habits. And then there's Attract Good Luck, which is another one of my favorites, because, you know, so many people, like, they think that luck is just something that happens, but it's actually something that you create. And so it helps you to really be able to tap into seeing those opportunities and acting upon the opportunities that are presented, which appear to look like luck. And then the other one, the most recent book, is How to Manifest Your Soulmate Using the Law of Attraction. And that is based on my personal story of manifesting my husband, who I've been married to for the last 13 years. And I literally broke down my own story and into the steps that I actually took, because this was a deliberate creation, and I manifested him. And so so many people are so lonely and wanting their soulmate. They should but they should get a copy of my book, and that will help them to do that. And I also have inside my app, one of my free sessions is on attracting your soulmate. So if anybody out there, in addition to the business stuff, they're also wanting to manifest their soulmate, all the programs are out there for you that can help you to get on the track to do that.
Well, I know what I'm doing after. So we talked about this amazing app, but I believe we never mentioned the name. Can you give us the name?
Absolutely. So the name of my app is called Hypnocloud, and it's Hypnocloud. And like I said, it gives you over 500 hypnosis sessions right in the palm of your hand.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, Victoria, I really want to thank you for being here. I feel like we could have 7 podcast show with you because, it's such I feel it's a subject that I was telling you that in the pre-interview, it's really hot. People want to feel better. And it seems like we're starting to understand, like the majority of us, I mean, not you guys, spiritual people, but the majority of us are starting to understand that there's nothing magic. You need to, find the right tools and use the right tools. But we're really at a place, I think, in general, that we just want to feel better and we want to do it in a healthy way. So thank you for all of that. So you can get Victoria's books on Amazon, I guess.
Yes.
Yes, her app, Hypnocloud. You can get that Apple, Android. And thank you so much. I will leave you a little closing line, and then we'll leave the word to Deb because she likes to have the last word, and we need to.
Well, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate being on your show, and I hope your listeners, find success and learn to tap into their subconscious mind and rid themselves of limiting subconscious beliefs, especially in the area of love, abundance, and health.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much.
I thank you before you because I know after I can't.
You can talk and talk and talk, Caroline. We'd love to hear you talk. Thank you so much, Victoria and Caroline. As always, it's amazing the people that we actually manifest onto our show. And honestly, people, please share this episode and subscribe because then you'll just see, I think this whole podcast that Caroline and I was very divine, and so we so appreciate you. And look, if you have something, and we need to bring Victoria back, and you know what you could do? Maybe you could just take us through a whole hypnosis right on the air. How incredible would that be? As long as you're not driving people. So we'll have you back on the show. And if you have something that you want to share, like if you're an entrepreneur, you're a lifepreneur, please contact us. We're more than happy to help. Our whole mission around this show is about, being a supportive platform for entrepreneurs, which is why we produce the most incredible books, and also for men, women, and couples. So I think that pretty well covers everybody. If you'd like to be as part of an anthology, if you'd like to be in a book, please, we're probably an easy step in. Instead of doing the whole book on your own, we do these beautiful anthologies, and we've got book launches that are up and coming, and we'd love to put you on our guest list for that. And then we also have, as you will have seen if you are part of our list, that we have an amazing planner that you have access to now, that we believe we've been able to create the best of both worlds with 30 years of business experience and personal development. Obviously, we have the best planner to help you personally, kind of like what our topic was about today, just really tapping into personal development, and then business, so that you can put those together and you really can have success in multiple areas of your life. It's not about lack or sacrifice of one to benefit in the other. And we believe that we've just put our heart into this planner. And there's some amazing quotes in that planner for some of the most powerful thought leaders in the world of entrepreneurship and lifepreneurship. So you have to take a look at that. Thank you once again for showing up for the show. Our shows aren't 15 minutes, 20 minutes. We like to get to the heart of the matter and make your time worthwhile instead of just tipping the surface, so that you walk away feeling really fulfilled and like you've learned something new. So hopefully that happened for you today. We're really grateful. And with that being said, ladies, I think it's another great show, and we will see everybody next week.